building trust, building value. This would hopefully make people want to invest in us, want to work with us, want to spend money in the stuff that we're selling. And when we talk about ethical selling being kind of a bit, I don't know, goody two-shoes, a bit passive, a bit weak, anything but. Good salespeople are able to challenge customers. They can push back. They can have strong conversations for the customer's best intent, but we are able to do that. And it would be unethical not to. So actually being persuasive and assertive is very much part and parcel of what ethical selling looks like today.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes.
Why do we want to get involved in ethical selling? Let's go a bit deeper in this. So, customer trust and loyalty. Yeah, when we're treating customers honestly, when we're being transparent, they're more likely to be more loyal to us. So this is where we're looking at repeat business, customer retention, and getting better referrals. It's a smart move to make if you're looking for long-term business. It helps you build your brand's reputation. Now, for brand, you could talk about the company, you could talk about the product, you could talk about personal brand. Personal brand, more than ever, seems to be something that people are looking to build and are quite deliberate about. So it's a means for us to differentiate. We're talking about these longer-term relationships. When we genuinely understand, focus on customer needs, that's when we can create this foundation for collaboration, and we'll look at future sales opportunities. We're less likely to get customer complaints. Or on a more positive spin, we're more likely to get customer success. The outcomes that we're promising, the results that we're offering, people will get. Yeah, so we'll get less negative feedback and less kind of issue resolution. We're looking at success stories. Sometimes we might be looking to mitigate legal risks. So again, if we've got good practice, if we're solid in what we do and we've got those kind of guidelines in place, then we'll avoid doing the stuff that's wrong and going to get us into trouble. Also, we can look to this, when as a sales leader, you can look at this and think, well, actually, yeah, this is going to help with employee morale, engagement, positive work culture, positive pride among people. Now, people want to stick around. We want to be more productive. It's just a better place to work where we spend the majority of our time. That's just the first slide. We've got more reasons why we want to do this. Think of community, think of social impact. Now, this is becoming more and more important. Now, companies have got corporate social responsibility, and then many pay a lot of attention to that. So again, we can look at how we can be responsible in the way we go about things. Kind of touched on this already, setting yourself apart in the marketplace, being different, doing the kind of things that we know people are responding well to. And so this means that the business, the growth through those long-term partnerships, positive reputation, strong employee morale, this is how we can keep that business growing. Word of mouth, positive referrals, making it easier to win business, easier to open the doors, because this is what customers want. At the end of the day, you'll hear me a bit like a stuck record, actually, going back to customers want us to behave like this. And when people aren't, they're not going to engage. They're not going to give them the time and space to talk to them. Demonstrate that we can do that and we operate like this. It's easier to get those contacts that we need. And we know that it's a crisis and heaven help us, we don't get another COVID or anything like that. But having strong principles, strong ethics, it's easier to navigate more difficult times. So let's summarize this stuff. The benefits of ethical selling means that it's not just going to impact the bottom line, but it's going to contribute to that more sustainable business environment. It's going to do that for longer term. So it is an investment. That's what I would say to people, like getting your head around this and starting to apply it. It's an investment in long-term success for a positive impact, because that relationship with customers is absolutely key. That is what we can make stronger. So that's a little bit about the kind of the what. So let's have a look about why people might not want to do this. I'm going to be a bit negative for a moment. I'm not a negative person really, but let's have a look at the downsides. Some of the things that people might think or might do that stops them getting involved in this. Yeah. So short-term focus. Now, some people might think that actually closing deals quicker, not worrying about the longer-term deals, not looking at the kind of stuff that's going on towards the future, that's something that they need to do. Yeah. So it might be this short-term focus stops people getting involved in this more ethical behavior. It could be that people just think, linked to that actually this isn't going to help our sales process. It's going to slow us down. We might miss opportunities. We might not be able to push forward at the pace that we need. Sometimes people will be resistant to change. Now, I find this one massively ironic that salespeople find it difficult to change, but they do. And we all do. We're humans. So we need to be aware that that could be something that's holding us back if we're suggesting new and better ways of working. The pressure to meet targets, I kind of touched on that already. But, when people are under pressure and they're going to do things, that short-term focus could be a reason that we don't always use those principles and those kind of guidelines that we have. Could be that people just don't understand it. Now, I do see this quite a lot. Yeah, people just don't get ethical selling. They think it's about a goody two-shoes type thing and it's kind of weak and don't really understand how the concept can benefit them so well. So they don't want to necessarily embrace that. Again, we're back to that kind of profitability, particularly if we're talking about negotiation. And what ethical selling would do would be to encourage you to be more open. Yeah, people might think, well, being that transparent and kind of, it might affect how much money we can make. Converse is true. Yeah, so I've already touched on this, but when we say ethical selling, people might think this is about being less assertive, less persuasive in the way that we interact with people. That's not the case. And I'll touch on, I'm going to give antidotes to all of these, don't worry. When we understand it, we know how to make it work better for us. And maybe people have tried this before. Maybe they've got a negative experience. It didn't quite get the results they were looking for. So trying again might be a bit of resistance to that. Maybe in the industry that people work in, it could be seen as a way that is so different to what everyone is doing, then that might not be something that's going to give us success. It could put us at a disadvantage, if you like. And people might think that ethical selling is complex, it's difficult, it's hard work. It's going to need tons of training, loads of extra resource. My job's to make that stuff simple. So again, I'll talk through that. So, okay, starting to get results means getting those thoughts out your head, realizing that actually it doesn't work like that. So we can bust all of these ideas. We can knock those out of the park. When we talk about short-term focus, this is about building trust and understanding. This is where we get long-term loyalty. So in the end, it's going to make it easier to bring in the business results, repeat business. Yeah, because people are going to respect and like the quality of the interactions that they have with us. So when we think about sales performance, what ethical selling helps us do is by aligning with customer needs, by understanding them better, when we really address the concerns they've got, tailor our solutions to fit exactly what they need, that's more likely to give us successful outcomes. That's better selling. Ultimately, that is what we sell to people. We sell results, we sell outcomes, whatever it is we sell. People don't really care about our products. They don't care about the service. They care about what they get from using it. This way of working helps us get deeper, understanding it, and doing a better job for them. Resistance to change. People often don't like change because they feel as though it's taking something away. Well, what we're looking at here more often than not, and particularly people I work with, because they're already thinking right, to be fair, is that we're adding extra levels of best practice into good stuff that they're doing anyway. Maybe it's just even making people more conscious of it. Yeah, so we can just integrate, we can add in, we can start to not bin stuff, unless we need to bin it because it's not very good, but we can enhance, not replace. When we think about this pressure to meet targets, again, by focusing on people's needs, really understanding them, working to help them address them, it's actually more likely that we're going to exceed. We're going to do better, potentially, when we're starting to work on our targets. And so if people aren't really understanding what ethical selling is all about, it's easy enough to help people to understand, hey, look, people's asking for this and it's applying best practice. It's going to make you more successful, and kind of going into some of the detail and actually how you implement some of these things over the longer term. Again, there was quite a few reasons that we had to bust. So we've got the fact that we've got concerns about profitability. Well, again, we talked about building trust, building value. This would hopefully make people want to invest in us, want to work with us, want to spend money in the stuff that we're selling. And when we talk about ethical selling being kind of a bit, I don't know, goody two-shoes, a bit passive, a bit weak, anything but. Good salespeople are able to challenge customers. They can push back. They can have strong conversations for the customer's best intent, but we are able to do that. And it would be unethical not to. So actually being persuasive and assertive is very much part and parcel of what ethical selling looks like today. Again, negative experiences. And maybe people have tried to do too much at once. They've sort of done a whole big change program. A more continuous improvement and more kind of adding in, here are some of the things that we need to start looking at and start doing better every day. Aggregating marginal gains makes a lot of sense in the way that we can work together. Think about industry norms. Stand out. Why be the same as everyone else? Being known to be different, and be known to be different because the stuff you do is so good. Good because it benefits customers. Good because it's benefiting broader community. What a great way to differentiate yourself. And so perceived complexity, we can bust that myth. Again, looking at what this actually entails, we can take it down to quite simple levels and just say, hey, this is what it is. And we can make it easier for people to adopt the approach and to start working on that. So there's some of the things that people might not want to get involved in ethical selling, but why I would say actually they're wrong. We can bust those.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.